It's been a year since Alex and Amelia got married. He's still over the moon by the fact that she said yes, and eventually, I do. Married life had been amazing for the couple as they started to build a life together. They were staying at a nice apartment and they were happy. However, as they talked about their long-term goals and dreams, they agreed that they would like to have kids and build a house that they can call home for the benefit of their future family. Alex told his wife that someday soon they'll start to build their dream home. But for some time, nothing was happening. Alex was working and life was busy. Then one day, Amelia surprised him with the news. She was pregnant. Alex was over the moon and they were both happy. Later that evening, Alex also realized that the time has come to get started with his promise of their own house. Alex is an accounts executive at a digital marketing agency. He's in charge of creating and building relationships with clients, as well as understanding their company's goals. Alex loved the fact that he was able to help clients grow their businesses. A couple of weeks ago, Alex was tasked with a job to make a presentation for a valued client. As he tried to prepare for the presentation, he was rattled. At home, he was working on some of his personal projects. At work, he still had other clients that he had to look after. Not to mention that he was also in the middle of the planning process of building their dream home, and this required much involvement. His schedule was full to the brim, and while he was thinking that he'll be able to take care of everything by working hard, the truth was that he was falling behind. As a result, Alex was not able to prepare well for his presentation. During his presentation, he struggled to send the message across. And as a result, he wasn't able to present a clear plan of action. This made the client lose confidence in him and the company, and so they decided not to proceed with the deal. He was disappointed in himself. He felt that he failed the client and his company. Alex had done the presentations before, and he thought that he had enough time to prepare and get ready. But it turned out that he had underestimated the time and energy needed to get the job done properly. And it's not only work that was recently suffering. He realized that he was out of shape as well and he needed to do something about it. The fact that he was underestimating how much time it would take to get things done meant that many things on his to-do list stayed uncompleted. And one of those things was exercise. Alex decided that exercise will be one of his priorities. With this in mind, he thought that he will be back in shape in a couple of weeks. He started running in the mornings and hit the gym after work. But despite his efforts, the progress was slower than he expected. After speaking with some of his friends, he realized his diet is a big component as well when it comes to fitness. It seemed like it would take all his time to be in good physical shape, and Alex started to let go of his idea of being in great shape. He thought that he had to choose between family, work, and fitness, so he kind of let the fitness lose. Meanwhile, Alex was in the middle of planning their family's dream house. He previously estimated that it would take 2 months for the planning process. However, it was already 4 months in. There were so many details that needed to be taken into consideration, not to mention there were misunderstandings here and there as well. He went to see the local planning department to understand what paperwork needed to be done. That's when he realized that he underestimated the time needed to plan things out. Alex thought that everything would run smoothly, but it took ages to get the response from different departments and institutions. He didn't take into account the possibility of challenges and obstacles. Everything seemed to be out of his reach, and he was frustrated. He wanted so much to make their dream come true, but is it worth all the challenges, disappointments, and failures? At that point, he began to think that maybe it was just better for him to just buy an already built house instead and give up on the dream home that he promised his wife. He was confused as to where to go from there. One day, Alex met up with his friend Matthew and told him the things that were bothering him. First, he told Matthew how he was struggling in the process of planning to build their dream home. He shared that so many things had to be considered and that it was taking a ton of time, effort, and resources. He also confessed how he was failing at his job and how he was trying to get in shape recently without much of the success. Matthew told Alex about the concept of the iceberg illusion. He shared that the concept of the iceberg illusion is understanding the world with the realization that only a small part of the things are visible, while there's a lot more going on beneath the surface. To illustrate, he took a piece of paper and drew an iceberg floating in the water and showing how only 10% of it was visible above the water. He then drew the part of the iceberg that was hidden underneath the surface, which was 90% of it. Matthew helped him realize that things shouldn't be taken at face value because it might be just the tip of the iceberg or a small percentage of the whole thing. And where success is the tip of the iceberg, what's underneath the surface is a whole lot of persistence, good habits, hard work, failures, and disappointments. Alex thanked Matthew about this valuable advice and said that he would learn from it. Back at home, he was thinking about the concept and how things have been going for him. How he failed to prepare a convincing presentation, how he was struggling with his fitness goals, as well as plans to build his family house. At that moment, everything came together. He was clearly underestimating everything that he wanted to do. It was time to change things around. So instead of rushing things based on inaccurate estimates, he decided to set reasonable deadlines given his current situation. He accepted that failures and obstacles may arise, so he would always add some buffer time to his plans. At work, Alex started to look at the things differently, and while it meant sometimes to say no to some tasks or queries, his overall performance improved massively. It seemed like he was working less, but getting more accomplished. He also wanted to improve his fitness, but this time he decided that he doesn't need to achieve impressive results in 2 weeks. Instead, he decided to focus on little improvements, and he accepted that it will be the journey rather than the destination. With his new approach, he was making progress rather fast, and he felt great about it. Of course, the biggest thing that he had to focus on was the development of his house. He remembered a picture that Matthew drew for him. He had never been involved in building the house before, and he realized that it will take way more time than he expected. So he made sure to plan for different challenges and obstacles along the way. He consulted contractors to get the best estimates possible and still planned in some extra time. 14 months later, the house was completed. But it wasn't just a house, it was a place that Alex and his family can call home. As they had dinner that evening for the first time in their new house, Amelia surprised Alex with some news. She was pregnant with their second child. That evening, Alex was answering some emails and he was thinking how well things were going. He then remembered a conversation with Matthew when he explained to him about the iceberg theory and how this simple concept changed his life. He picked up the phone and called Matthew. Alex thanked Matthew and said that because of him, his life has massively improved. Everything takes time. Well, actually, more time than we originally planned for.